Welcome. Rooster is vocal today. He's always pretty vocal. So, happy Monday to you. If it is Monday where you are, it's Monday where I am. So I've got so many things planned. I've forgotten them, and we'll see what happens. Let's start by choosing a posture. That's the old standby. We can always remember that. So we'll choose a posture. It's a good starting point. Because if we don't choose our posture, then guess what? Our habits choose for us. So we want to choose the posture. We want to choose it to the best of our ability. Every aspect of the posture. How about that? So that could keep us busy for a long time. In fact, if you consider, one time I read somebody describe it this way, which it stuck with me, so I appreciate it. If you consider a shoreline, this would be true of anything, but this was the example given, a shoreline. So, where the water meets the land, so to speak. And if you look at that, then you can measure that, and you say, oh, 10 miles of shoreline. Well, then zoom in a little bit. All of a sudden you realize, oh, it's not a straight line. It's not even just a curved line. It's lots of little nooks and crannies in there. So you start measuring all those and you realize, oh, it's a lot longer than 10 miles. If I could take that out and straighten it all out, and now all of a sudden I've got 100 miles. Sorry, most of you don't deal with miles, kilometers. And then you can zoom in even more. Look even more closely, get out your microscope. You're looking and you see, oh, wow, it's even more little zigzags and crevices and things. It's not so straight. It's a lot more little nuances. So you straighten that all out. Wow, all of a sudden now it's 1,000 miles, kilometers, whatever. So our lives are like that. We can gloss over it and we can say, oh, I know the answer. I know everything. Trust me, I knew everything. It's not so good to know everything. You know everything, and then there's nothing more left. And you say, life sucks. I know everything, and there's nothing good. But when we look more carefully, we realize we don't know. We realize there's a lot more than meets the eye, as they say. So when we choose a posture consciously, then we are looking within, and we're looking carefully, but we're looking in a relaxed way. And we're taking that in without trying to get to the conclusion. This is important, because if we say, oh, I'm choosing a posture, then you know where that leads, because you've done that before, haven't you? Because then you're waiting, you're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for the conclusion. You're waiting for something. So here we're choosing a posture, and then we're relaxing. We're easing into the posture. We're allowing ourselves to really be present. We hear so much about presence and be here now and all this stuff, but we don't really know how to do that, do we? I don't know how to do that. So, but we get to discover that moment to moment that we don't know. I don't know how to be here. Well, good news. Now I don't know. I thought I knew everything. Oh, all of a sudden I don't know something. I don't know how to be here. I don't know how to inhabit this posture. I don't know how to sit. I don't know how to lie down. I don't know how to relax. And the old way is, I don't know how to relax. It's the end of the world. When am I going to get to perfect relaxation? Only then will I be okay. But what we're learning, what I'm learning, sorry to include you in, on, you don't need to come along for the ride with me. What I'm learning, and I'm inviting you along for the ride, is there a possibility of joy in not knowing? Is there a possibility of joy in discovery? And of course, if your starting point is extreme misery, then I'll raise my hand. I get it. I know that's hard. It's like, oh, I can't even be here. I can't be still. I can't be okay. I'm so agitated. I'm so frustrated. I'm so in so much pain, so discouraged, so depressed, so anxious, so fearful. I want to leap out of my skin. So that's hard. I know. But having been to the dead end so many times, I know, I get to the dead end and then it's like, well, I got two options available here. One is I can off myself, not a very good option. If I think it's bad now, that's likely to be worse. So the other option is, okay, I'll be truthful, I'll be honest. My old ways suck. I think life sucks. Wrong. My ways suck. My ways are not good. But that's okay. Because when I'm honest about that, then something new opens. And even if it's hard, even if it's scary, even if it's difficult, it's still good news, because when you've hit rock bottom, it's only up from there. And I think it actually is better to hit rock bottom than not. Because you can get that out of the way then, right? You're like, oh, wow, been to rock bottom. So people talk about they've got a bucket list. Add that to your bucket list. Rock bottom. You've already been there. Check it off. Okay. You've been to rock bottom. So we're choosing a posture, and then we're discovering, how can I be here? How can I be here in a new way, in a fresh way, in a actually a good way? And in order to find that answer, we can't look to the mind, because the mind doesn't know. The mind, isn't that the truth? That's the mind that thinks it knows everything, when it's confronted with reality, like how to be here, how to inhabit a posture, doesn't know. And what it will do is you'll recognize the telltale signs. Okay, it's gonna kick and scream. It's gonna throw a fit. It's gonna say it's not fair. It's gonna say it's too hard. It's gonna say, oh, this is a good one. This is bullshit. I like that one. That's a good one. Okay. You recognize the patterns, the habits of the mind when it's reached its own limitations, when it's up against the wall of the dead end. It reveals its true face, which is vicious, isn't it? It's vicious. It says, oh yeah, you think you're going to get the last laugh? Well, how about this, buddy? That's what, when you really get it up against its back up against the wall, that's what it does. So now you can know who your real ally is. And your real ally is what doesn't have conditions. Your real ally is what will receive you even in your worst. Even when you're the most desperate, even when you're the most afraid, even when you've hit rock bottom, even when it seems like there's no possibility of anything good, there's something here. There's something that will receive you. And we open to that when we choose to open to newness, which we can do always right now with something simple like choosing a posture. So notice all of the unnecessary effort, whatever that might be. So we'll start with the physical. You notice the physical unnecessary effort. So I often say this, but I'll say it again because I think it's useful. You notice how you're supported. So you can seem like, there's no support. I'm all alone. And this world is so cruel and nobody cares. And I'm all alone. But actually, you tell the truth. See, that's the mind that says that. My mind says that. So maybe other people can offer you how to perfect your mind. I don't know how to do that. I don't see that as a winning game. I see that as a losing game, but not a good kind of losing. So instead, I'm more interested in let's just discover something new. Let's just be open. So you notice where the support is. The support is actually here, really, honestly. There really is support, and it's here. Regardless of your attitude, regardless of your thoughts, regardless of your actions. You could be drunk, still here. That's what I mean when I say that there's something that receives you always, 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 always in your very worst moments and in your very best moments and everything in between. And to the mind, it seems worse than trivial. The mind is so hateful. It just says, ugh. It's like, that's not good enough. It's like, yeah, I already know that. Gravity, blah, blah, blah. But tell the truth. Like magnifying the shoreline, you realize, I don't know at all. All I had was a label, gravity. That's it. That's all I had. And I say, oh, I know it because I can name it. When you know it, it works for you. And the way to know it is to surrender to it, to recognize that it really is your ally. So notice that the support is here, that it's under you. It's not just under you, but we'll start there. So you notice that it's under you. Regardless of your orientation, you could be sitting, you could be lying down, you could be on your back, you could be on your side, you could be on your head, for all I care, but gravity's under you, whatever your orientation is, and it's supporting you. This earth is supporting you. So notice that, and then here's the thing. It's such a basic thing. I say it often, but notice it in a fresh way. I'm inviting myself to notice it in a fresh way. That it's actually a really big deal that I'm making unnecessary effort against Earth. So it's under me. Why, if I'm sitting, why am I clenching my buttocks? Think about that. Is that necessary? No. Why am I tensing up my thighs if I'm sitting? It's not necessary, is it? So I talk sometimes about the low-hanging fruit. This to me is the lowest hanging fruit. It's where we can spend all day Googling stuff and watching YouTube videos, search for, you think you know what your problem is, you got a new idea about what your problem is. Oh, now I know what it is. It's called fill in the blank. So you watch videos all day on YouTube about the various things that you could do, what foods you should eat, what foods you shouldn't eat. That's a big one, right? Like if you go to higher elevation, that will fix your problem. So you start thinking, oh, how am I going to go to higher elevation? Or no, you need to go to lower elevation. Get conflicting opinions. So you spend all day doing that. But does it help you? Meanwhile, what's the low-hanging fruit? You're sitting on it, or you're lying on it. So we notice where we're making the unnecessary effort. Here we're supported. Why are we resisting it? Why are we fighting against it? Why are we struggling? Why are we clenching, tensing, armoring, pulling, pushing? It's like a fussy baby. It's like the baby's hungry. Mother's holding it to her breast and the baby's like, and you're like, you're hungry. Just relax. And we're all hungry. We're starving for nourishment. And the nourishment is here. It's a good metaphor, actually, because the earth is our mother. She's the mother of our physical self. So we want to recognize we're just like fussy babies. We don't know what's really going on. We don't actually know what the real problem is. All we know is I'm uncomfortable. I'm unhappy. I'm ill at ease. Can't seem to get it right. Can't seem to quite dial it in. Oh. And here we are being held to the mother's breast. In my case, asked to the mother's breast, but whatever. So we want to notice that we are being held, we are being supported, and then can we surrender a little bit more? Can we be a little softer? Can we let our Earth Mother hold us tenderly? Let's start to feel our body yielding to that support. Notice the power of your intention. So if you think about it, it won't work, or at least it won't work very well. Because if you think about it, what happens is you start thinking in parts and pieces. You say, oh, I'm sitting, so what am I gripping? Oh, it's my buttocks. Well, what muscles are there? How am I doing that? Oh, how do I let that go? Should I do this? Should I do that? But we need to be like a baby. Baby doesn't have that capacity. The baby doesn't have that so-called knowledge. And so the baby, in her innocence, has to just surrender to the intelligence of the support of the mother. So let's be like that baby and trust that intelligence that exists in nature. And if it's comfortable for you, close the eyes. And let's reflect upon that for a moment and notice that that intelligence that exists in nature exists everywhere that we look in nature. If we look at the honeybee comb, we see that intelligence. See how nature has created the perfect design. If we look at the water, what a miracle water is. Nobody understands water. Scientists puzzle over water. Why is it like that, they wonder. So odd, so puzzling. They can't figure it out. Something so basic, fundamental to life. Nobody understands it. But there's a structure and intelligence there that allows water to be water. And then notice that that same intelligence exists in you. It exists in your physical body for sure. Your physical body is, I don't know, 70 to 80% water. So that same mysterious perfection of water, it comprises 70 to 80% of your physical body. Then there's the intelligence that creates the structure of your cells, the intelligence that allows your circulatory system to function. What an amazing miracle that is. I've learned recently that it's not only that the heart pumps the blood, but also the arteries have a muscle lining on the inside that contracts and releases in a pulsating fashion to move the blood along. So all the time this intelligence is functioning. And we can just trust and know that that intelligence knows exactly what to do. So we can surrender to that perfection, and just allow for a deeper surrender. Wherever there is armoring, you can soften. You don't have to fight so hard. And if this posture that you've chosen, if you discover it's too hard, you don't know how to do it, well, then find an easier one. Who gets to choose that other than you? Don't make your life so hard. You can actually, and I promise you this is true, you can begin to experience ease in your life on all levels. The more you open to that, the more you receive the support, and that means the more you inherit your birthright, which is abundance. Look at the nature of this earth. She is abundant. She is overflowing with abundance. And it is a renewing abundance. So there's always enough. And this is true for you in your life. And let's tune into the breath. Become aware of how the breath is supporting you. The breath is moving you, animating you, energizing you, cleansing you. And the breath is not something that you do. This is so important. In so many traditions, the divine breathes life into us. Why would that be if it's not true? We can just take that on as an experiment. Just find out. If so many wisdom traditions tell us that this is true, who is it that's saying bullshit other than the mind that's seeking to protect itself? So instead of hardening ourselves, armoring ourselves, let's soften and allow that possibility in, that the divine is breathing life into us, that the breath is a gift from the divine that we are the recipients of. And all we have to do is be aware and surrender all of our unnecessary efforts. So when we tune into the natural breath, we're tuning into the divine's gift to us, to the gift of life. And then we begin to notice where we reject, where we limit, where we restrict, where we hide. We notice how we do that. So we do that, just a few pointers or clues. We do that when we turn the breath around at an unnecessary point, meaning we're inhaling and then all of a sudden we just exhale, even though we didn't need to. It wasn't the inhalation wasn't complete and satisfying, but rather, if we're observant, we'll notice that something happened. We were startled, we became fearful, we became anxious. There was a thought, a memory, something happened, and we reacted. We reacted by turning the breath around. So you can just observe and notice that you have this amazing power, which is the power of awareness that allows you to inhibit reactivity. So you can become aware of those impulses, those reactive impulses, before they manifest as an action. Sort of like you can become aware of a thought before you say it. But even more subtly, you can become aware of the impulse to, in this case, turn the breath or hold the breath or overbreathe. That's another one. Straining to breathe, pushing, pulling, heaving, huffing, puffing, gasping. Or you can also become aware of the impulse to squeeze the face, to push the tongue against the roof of the mouth, or any of these other kinds of habits that we have that are completely unnecessary and that interfere with the natural, satisfying gift of breath. So we're just observing the breath, observing the experience. So there's a lot to be aware of. It's a lot. This is what I mean when we start to magnify our perception of the experience. We start to notice there's so much going on. We could just watch the breath forever and we would never know it, but we would know a lot more. We could always be learning. And the amazing thing about the breath is that as we really allow ourselves to be intimately aware of this gift of breath, allowing it to become gentler, slower, subtler, freer, more satisfying, without any force whatsoever, we're becoming aware of so much. We're becoming aware of our triggers, habits, conditioning, and through that awareness, we begin to dissolve whatever doesn't serve the greatest expression of that gift of life. Because each of us is gifted life so that we may express that gift through our unique purpose, our uniqueness in this life. I truly believe, I'll go so far as to say I know, that every single one of us is needed. That there are no mistakes, and that our lives are purposeful, even if our minds don't understand. And we don't have to conjure that purpose. That purpose already exists within us. It's gifted to us, and it's gifted to us moment to moment. It's like a river flowing. So that we can trust that it is continually flowing, and that every moment is divinely appointed and perfect, that our flow of life, of breath, of purpose, of energy, of awareness in this moment absolutely perfectly matches the circumstances of our lives. And the more we surrender to that, the more that we trust in that through this exploration, through awareness, the more ease we experience, the more joy we experience, the more grace we experience consciously. Because it's not, this part is not a great mystery. It's simply because we're not interfering. We're not saying no, we're not rejecting, we're not turning it away, we're not restricting, we're not squeezing, armoring. We're not making the unnecessary effort. Instead, we're saying yes. And we don't have to try. We don't have to figure it out in advance. It comes naturally, effortlessly, here, now, 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 always now. The mind says, no. But the mind is being cleansed when we allow ourselves just to be present to our experience like this. The mind is cleansed because we're not trying to stop the thoughts. We're not fighting with the thoughts. We're not giving unnecessary meaning to the thoughts. We're not worrying about the thoughts. We're just allowing whatever arises to arise, whatever goes to go. And we're allowing this gift of life, the gift of breath, to flow naturally without interference. And we can be witness to the cleansing quality of the breath, like the river flowing. Those thoughts are gently washed downstream. The images, the memories, all of those various elements that make up the constellations that we have mistaken for this solidity of our miserable lives, not our good lives, but the solidity of all the struggles of our lives, they're just gently washed away. We just have to allow. And pretty soon, if not already, you might notice that you don't have any problems presently. Now, it's not too hard to think up some problems, of course. But if you just allow yourself to be here now, see, now you know how to be here now. You just allow yourself to be here now, then you'll almost certainly notice there are no problems here. This is not intended as a strategy for living your manifest life, but rather it's a foundation, an essential foundation, so that you can be cleansed of all the unnecessary clutter, the negative baggage, the lies and deceptions that you've mistaken for reality and for yourself. And you can have a foundation of ease that you can return to over and over. And you'll start to notice that not only is this gift of breath cleansing, it's also energizing. So it's both cleansing and energizing at the same time. Not in a stimulating way, unless you just had a bunch of coffee like me, but in a very pleasant, gentle way, in a nourishing way. And this is true on so many levels. We can recognize that it's bringing us necessary energy at the physical level, because it is. The more that we allow our breath to be natural, relaxed, gentle, satisfying, non-forced, the more the balance of the gases that comprise the air and the mixture in our lungs and in our blood and in our cells becomes optimal, so that our cellular respiration is optimized. We begin to have very clean energy instead of having the dirty energy of a stressed metabolism. We start to have the clean energy of a relaxed metabolism. And it brings energy to our creative process, our thinking process. And although it might be nice to just hang out here forever, let's slowly begin to become increasingly aware of our physical bodies, in case we've sort of zoned out a little bit, so that we can explore a little bit of movement. And let's start by doing, so we'll make some sounds. Hopefully you'll feel comfortable doing this. Maybe if you've got other people around, it might seem a little odd, but it's really, I find it really, really lovely on so many levels. And I hope that you will also find it to be really powerful exploration. So let's start with a hum, and it will be, we'll make that sound, that sound hum, but it will be elongated. So on your next inhalation, we're following the same natural, gentle breathing. So don't make it forced or unnecessarily fast. You inhale. So keep doing that at your own pace. And I'm just going to speak to give you some pointers while you're doing this. So don't think about it, because you could think about it a lot and wonder, what does this mean? Is there a significance to that sound? What's Joey doing? Is this something sneaky or something? No, it's just a sound. But what I'd like to invite you to is to notice where you perceive that sound in your body, where you feel it resonating. and see what that resonance and that awareness reveals to you about subtle tension or armoring that you may still be holding. I find this to be very powerful, very, 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 very effective at revealing the subtle, or maybe not always so subtle, holding, armoring patterns. And so as you're making that hum sound, feel the resonance and notice, where is it blocked? Where is it restricted? Where is it not flowing? Now, of course, naturally, the sound resonates in a particular part of the body more than another part of the body. Each type of sound, each vowel sound in particular, resonates in a different part of the body naturally, but just notice that you can feel it and perceive it throughout the entire body, even if it's stronger in a certain part of the body, and just allow it to vibrate in the body. And notice, can you soften and release so that the resonance, the vibration can be more smoothly felt through the body? And you can experiment with it being a little louder or a little quieter. You can experiment with the frequency, meaning, is it higher frequency, lower frequency? So I was doing, for me, it was a higher frequency, but I could experiment with a lower frequency. And then just take a few breaths without any sound. And notice if anything has changed in whatever your posture may be. In particular, I noticed that when sitting, these sounds really bring about a fairly profound alignment in the posture, because they reveal all of these ways in which I was still holding, pulling the head forward, for example. And it just gently brings everything into alignment. So notice if you feel more aligned, more open, more free. And then let's try another sound. Let's make an ah. So let's do that for a few rounds. Same idea, but I'll demonstrate it once. And notice what's different about this sound than the other sound. So obviously they're different. The mind has its ideas, but notice the actual experience. You'll notice that they feel different. You'll notice that the resonance is in a different part of the body, or more centered in a different part of the body. You will notice that perhaps, maybe not, but you might notice that the frequency or the tone that's most comfortable is different depending on the sound that you're making. And you might even start to notice other subtleties, such as, do these sounds provoke any particular colors, any particular imagery, any thoughts? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just to be aware. You're learning about your own experience and learning what supports you. And then rest from the sound and just a few more natural breaths. And then let's rub the palms together, and you can let the fingers move between one another. There's not a right way, like there's not one right way, but notice how you do it. And then experiment with doing it a little bit differently. Because even something just so simple as this, just how do I rub the hands together? The mind wants to trivialize it and say, huh, this isn't important at all, who cares? But see what happens. You might be surprised. So you have a habit. If there's one way that you do it, what happens if you do it a different way? So maybe you just have a habit of keeping the fingers together and you just do it really fast. What if you slow it down? Or maybe you have a habit of doing it really slow, do it a little faster. Maybe you have a habit of, like I said, keeping the fingers together, let the fingers come apart, let the fingers move between one another. Notice how you habitually interlace the fingers and see if you do it a different way. Meaning, maybe you just run the fingers together so that the right fingers are above the left fingers are the other way around. You do it, switch them, see what that's like, or just make little, like I like to just do like slight circles. Okay. And then bring the one of your hands to the throat and just gently stroke the throat. Notice the quality of how you touch the throat and how the throat touches your hand. And let it be gentle, really light and gentle and soft, like you're touching a baby's throat. And then be receptive to that touch. So rather, you might notice that you have a habit, as many of us do, whenever we're touched, of armoring, hardening. So we want to touch softly and soothingly and then be receptive to that. So let this throat become softer. Let this gentle stroking help to awaken your awareness internally of the throat. And move up and down the throat. And you could just make little circles if you wanted. I mean, there's not one right way, just giving you some options, but make some little circles and try letting your hand be very gentle, but firm enough that rather than the hand sliding over the skin, let the hand remain on the skin and the skin moves over the tissue underneath. So small, gentle, nurturing touch, and have the intention inwardly that this touch can help you to become aware so that you can inwardly release the unnecessary effort. Most of us are clenching in the throat and we don't even know it. And we even have the the fascia on the superficial fascias often gripping so that the throat doesn't even know how to release. Even if we could release the muscles, we don't even know how to release the throat. So this is a really simple but very effective technique. You can also do a gentle skin roll. So very gentle, but just gently take a little bit of the skin and just gently roll it, just to awaken the throat. You can come up to the jaw line. I really find that right behind the jaw up to the ear, that area gets really tight, needs a lot of gentle, nourishing attention. I find that on everybody who I touch, this I consistently find this area really needs a lot of gentle nourishment. And then release the hand and just feel inwardly the throat. And then let's make the ah sound again and see if it's any different now. Let's do that a few more times. And as you're making that sound, see if you can allow yourself to have an intention. And it's a very light intention. So you don't have to be don't work hard at it. Just let it be a light intention, and let it be an intention for goodness, clarity, harmony, openness. And see if you can just allow yourself to have that intention and to open to it as you make that sound, and let the throat be open. Feel also into the chest and notice the connection between the throat and the chest. Let the chest also be open. And then we can relax the sound, and we'll conclude the formal portion today with a blessing intention, as we often do, because I find it such a nice transition. We cultivate all of this inner goodness, and we want to bring that into our manifest lives. We want to share that gift with our bodies, with our loved ones, with our world, knowing that truly that goodness, that healing grace it really is like a river flowing ceaselessly with an abundance of goodness through and as us. So we can trust and know that the more that we bless, the more blessings we receive. So be aware of that river of life gifted to you. And begin to allow that to radiate outward, blessing your inner body, bringing healing and smooth, gentle, nourishing energy to all of your organs, to your digestive system, your circulatory system, your lymphatic system, to your bones and your marrow, to your blood, to your muscles, connective tissue, to your skin. Really perceive that. Notice that you can, with intention and just taking a moment to be aware, you can actually perceive that that's actually true. You can really feel that. And then allow that to continue to radiate outward into your life and into your world. Let it bless your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships. Let it be a blessing to your finances. Let it be a blessing to your home. Let it be a blessing if you have any pets, to your pets, or any other animals you care for. Let it be a blessing to your loved ones. Let it be a blessing to the natural world, to the wild animals, to the plants, the water, the air. Let it be a blessing to this earth. Let it be a blessing to all of the inhabitants of this earth, human and non-human. Let it be a blessing to this entire universe. Bless all beings everywhere so that all may know peace and love and harmony. And then bring your awareness again to your physical body, and we'll gently scan from head to toe. So start with the top of the head. Be aware of all of the sides of the head, the front, the back, the left, the right. Be aware of the tongue, the chin, the throat, the neck, the shoulders, the upper arms, the lower arms, the hands and fingers and palms. Be aware of the chest and the upper back, the abdomen and the lower back. Be aware of the buttocks, the thighs, the groin, the knees, the lower legs, the feet, the toes, and the soles of the feet. Be aware of the whole body. Be aware of your connection to this earth. And if your eyes are closed presently and you would like to open them, then you may begin to do so whenever you're ready, and do so slowly and with awareness. This was very gentle. I don't expect this should be overly stimulating, but one never knows. So please remember to be gentle. And whatever the case, no matter what we do, and maybe even especially if we take the time like we do here to consciously attend to and invite that grace in our lives, we can know that that healing is augmented in our lives, and that it's augmented for quite some time. So it's not like this hour is the only time in which the healing takes place. This is like turning on the, opening up the flow a little bit more, and then, or it's like after, well, I live next to a river, so I have this experience, when after there's snow melt or there's a big rainfall, then the river rises for some time. It's not like once the rain stops, then the river goes down immediately. So there's an increase in that flow for some time afterward in our lives. So for at least the next 24 hours, you can know that healing is continuing to take place. So whatever happens, just trust that that's part of the healing. And sometimes things come up that we think, oh, what is this? This is terrible. But it's really helpful to remember that it's part of the healing process. And a lot of the time, what do we need healing from? Well, it's all the negative stuff that we were holding on to. Negative habits, negative beliefs, negative memories, things that we didn't fully process, undigested, pretty much. It's what it is, just undigested experience. So as this healing is taking place, there's a digestion taking place, there's an assimilation that takes place, and there's what's unnecessary that can be released. So it's like with your food, right? There's part of the food that needs to be assimilated, there's part of it that needs to be released. We are distilling to the essence of what is needed, because every experience in our life offers us a gift, a lesson, something that we can receive in essence that enhances our capacity to fulfill our purpose. Like in any story, any good story, at least, along the way, the hero, the protagonist has experiences, meets beings, and is offered things. So in those stories, often they actually receive physical or magical tools or gifts. And so we receive things in our life, we want to, but we don't want to be carrying around this big sack of everything that we've ever experienced. We want it to be light, so that it's not burdensome. And in order to do that, we need to digest the experience. So the healing it's like like I said, cleansing and energizing. So there's a stuff gets loosened up and stirred up, and then we have to digest it. So just trust that everything that happens is part of that healing process. And don't dismay, don't get distressed if something happens that provokes fear or agitation or frustration or whatever. Just remember, affirmations can be really useful when used in the correct way. If it's actually an affirmation of something that in your heart you know to be true. So just, if anything comes up, just affirm for yourself, knowing the truth of it, that this is part of my healing. I don't know exactly what this means, but I do trust that it's part of the healing and that only good comes to me. So this too is good, even though I don't know how to see it in a good way yet. And then just invite support in that. However you understand that, whatever works for you, you could, whatever, you can pray to God or Goddess or Krishna or Buddha or the Great Spirit or whatever. But just pray to receive the wisdom of discernment, clarity, so that you can walk your path in a good way. You can live your life in a good way so that you can most happily, joyfully express your purpose in this life in the most satisfying and meaningful way for you and for everybody. And then, of course, we all need support. I need plenty of support. And sometimes it's hard to really recognize that support unless it comes to us through human form. So reach out and get support in from humans when you need it, and know who your allies, know who your human allies are. Surround yourself by good people who can support you, who you can trust. And if you don't have those people, then find them. And if you do have those people, because especially those of you who are here live, you know you have those people because you have them here and in the messenger group. And if, for anybody who watches this on YouTube, if you don't believe that you have that support, well, reach out. You can always email me. So thank you for being here. I'm going to end the recording of the formal portion, and then we'll stay on for the Q&A for those who are here live.